In the history of China, there was a truly remarkable and great person. At one time, his country faced a catastrophic crisis. During this time of crisis, he stepped forward and turned the tide. With his wisdom and courage, he gained fame in a single battle. Their weak forces defeated the strong. He created a rare miracle in history. It was because of him that the Ming Dynasty lasted another 200 years. Who was he? He was a loyal minister of the Ming Dynasty, Yu Qian. Let's talk about Yu Qian, starting from his childhood. He was born in Zhejiang Province, China. His ancestors were officials for generations. He came from a family of power. They had wealth and power and were educated. According to historical records, when Yu Qian was 7, a high monk saw him and felt that this child had a great future. He said Yu Qian would become a prime minister who would save the country. Ever since Yu Qian was a child, he'd always been very intelligent and eager to learn. He was a very wise child. At the age of 15, he passed the imperial examination for scholars. Passing this exam back then was equivalent to getting into a prestigious university today. His grades were excellent. At 23, he passed the higher imperial examination and was quickly appointed as a prosecutor by the emperor. He rose in the ranks in just a few years and became chief prosecutor. He had great political achievements and was known for his integrity. What is integrity? It means not being corrupt, not taking bribes, and being upright. He had a deep love for the people. For example, one time during the Ming Dynasty in Shaanxi Province, there was a large famine. The crops had failed to yield a good harvest. The people had no food to eat. The people and local officials were stealing food and killing each other. Many had already starved to death on the streets. When Yu Qian arrived and saw the disastrous state of everything, he told the local officials, "I want to open the granaries and give out food." According to the law at that time, opening the granaries required the emperor's approval. Doing so on your own could get you executed. Others suggested he write a letter to the emperor and get approval first. Yu Qian said, "No, people are starving to death every day. They just want to live. Death by starvation or execution is still death. They are going to attack and steal the grain soon. Your lives are at stake right now. The government approval process will take 2 to 3 months. If the farmers revolt, who knows, in 2 to 3 months, they might reach the capital. Our country would be in jeopardy. If the emperor holds us accountable, I take full responsibility. It has nothing to do with you. Now open the granaries." He resolutely decided to distribute grain to the people. This crisis was thus resolved. But Yu Qian still had to deal with his resultant problems. He broke the law and gave away grain meant for military use. He had to report to the emperor. Officials in the court were already accusing him of distributing military grain to win people's hearts. They claimed he was plotting a rebellion and should be executed. Everyone was discussing his punishment when Yu Qian finally arrived. The emperor saw him and said, "Yu Qian, explain why you used the military provisions." Yu Qian expressed his reasons to him. The emperor clapped when he heard this. "Well done, Yu Qian. I thought the same as you. I will not kill you. Instead, I'm giving you a promotion." You see, from the emperor to the commoners, everyone thought that Yu Qian was an excellent person. He cared for the people like his own children. Being an official wasn't easy. A county magistrate is first the head of the county. Secondly, he also acted as a judge and the police chief. The county magistrate was one position that oversaw many important roles. Due to this situation, a county magistrate often didn't possess the skills to solve crime cases. They just went through the motions. For example, in a murder case, they couldn't find who the real killer was. They would force a confession through torture. They'd pick an innocent young man and beat him to the brink of death. He'd admit to crimes he'd never done to stop the torture. Many wrongful convictions occurred. When Yu Qian arrived, he overturned many such wrongful cases. The people were truly overjoyed praising Yu Qian. They called him Justice Yu. Yu Qian served during the Ming Dynasty for quite a long time. He graduated at a young age and was appointed by the emperor in his early 20s. His first appointment was by Emperor Yingzong, Zhu Gaoqi. The emperor was a good man, diligently serving his role. However, his lifespan was quite short. He passed away less than a year after becoming emperor. After his death, the throne was passed to Emperor Xuande. Also known as Emperor Xuanzong, his name was Zhu Zhangji. This Emperor Xuande, Zhu Zhangji, was intelligent and clever, skilled in literature and martial arts, and eloquent. Everything he learned, he mastered. He was a person of great wisdom. Zhu Zhangji's reign was a period of national prosperity and strength. During that period, the Ming government had good trade and diplomatic relations with many countries around the world. Every year, different countries and emperors would exchange gifts with each other. Among these offerings, the most famous is the Xuande incense burner, named after the age it was crafted in. Later on, during the Ming and Qin dynasties, and even now, this type of burner continued to be made. People continually create them. Look at this one I have here. This is a type of Xuande incense burner. It has beast ears on both sides. At the bottom, there are inscriptions made in the Xuande period of the Ming Dynasty. Emperor Xuande highly valued Yu Qian and appointed him as a senior prosecutor. He performed outstandingly and did very well. He gained the appreciation and trust of Emperor Xuande. When Emperor Xuande fell seriously ill and passed away, the throne was passed to Emperor Yingzong, Zhu Qishan. He was just 9 years old when he ascended the throne, 13 years into Zhu Qishan's reign. There was a Mongolian army. The Mongol nation was divided into several different tribes. One of the major tribes was called the Oirat. Among the Oirat, a leader named Yizhen emerged. He had excellent leadership skills and was a great warrior. He organized and trained the entire Mongolian army. They became very formidable. The speed and power of their cavalry were immense. Their forces were lethal. The Ming infantry were no match. The Mongolian Oirat rose to power and quickly gathered tens of thousands of soldiers. But they also encountered some natural disasters. For example, it didn't rain for a long time. So the grass couldn't grow, and thus many cattle and sheep died. Life on the grasslands wasn't easy. Even worse was the plague. When an animal plague strikes, it happens overnight. Overnight, your household's thousands of cattle or sheep could all die. The meat from these plague animals is inedible. It can be highly contagious. When the grasslands faced this disaster, what could be done? It depended on who had food. They had to borrow. Without money, they couldn't buy it. If they couldn't borrow, they would steal. The leader, Yu Qian, led the Mongolian Oirat warriors to raid the Ming Dynasty. The Ming forces couldn't defeat or catch them. Even if they met, the Ming couldn't win. They always suffered losses and humiliation. The current emperor, Yu Qian, tried to gather elite and capable soldiers to come to the capital to help maintain order and strengthen the national defense. Among them was Yu Qian, whom his father had trusted greatly. Yu Qian was summoned back. He was appointed as the deputy minister of defense. However, he hadn't held the position for long before trouble arose. The Oirat Mongols frequently raided, plundering food, capturing people, and stealing goods. At that time, Emperor Yingzong, Yu Qian, led an army of 200,000 to battle. Some wise people would comment, "This emperor is not a founding emperor, right?" Unlike Zhu Yuanzhang, who had to fight as a rebel farmer. He was a young emperor inheriting the throne. Why go to war? Do you understand warfare? Tactics? Military strategy? These were the questions. I don't think he understood much. But why did he go to war? Speaking of this, let's talk about his growth journey. When he was a few years old, his father, the emperor, made him the crown prince and sought out good teachers for him. Along with good teachers, he also needed a good nanny and a clever eunuch. This eunuch was named Wang Zhen. What kind of eunuch was Wang Zhen to be chosen to accompany the crown prince? He was actually quite remarkable, extraordinary even. He also influenced the course of Chinese history. Wang Zhen was actually an intellectual, a scholar. In his youth, he also passed the imperial examination. It was very rare at that time. He passed the imperial examination, but after working for a while, he always felt that if he followed the normal administrative promotion path in the courts, he might never reach a high position in the imperial court. He had a strong desire for power. So, he thought of ways to take a shortcut, a fast track, to gain the emperor's favor. He tried everything, but the result was always the same. It was impossible. However, once a person has an idea, a wish, they truly start to come up with plans. He thought about approaching the emperor, not through the official route, but by becoming a eunuch. That's the easiest way to get close. The more he thought about it, the more he felt it was a good idea. Regardless of how many lives one has, this time, I won't live in vain. I'll give it my all. Wang Zhen was a smart man. He was already married. He had a wife and children. This decision couldn't be made without consulting his family. His wife was definitely unhappy. She cried and objected, but Wang Zhen didn't care. This transformation was a heavy loss, but there were gains as well. He quickly rose in the ranks above others and stood out. In ancient times, people were quite traditional. Unless a family was extremely poor, so poor they couldn't afford to eat, no parents would willingly send their son to become a eunuch. Sending him to the palace, not knowing if he'd live or die, just to not starve. Most couldn't bear such a trade. The families that did send their sons were usually quite poor. Their poverty meant they didn't have an education. So, most of the eunuchs were illiterate. But to serve the imperial harem and the emperor, they also had some basic education. Their highest level of education was not high. Over 90% of them could only read a letter at most. If they were more educated, they assisted the emperor with tasks. The eunuchs also managed the embroidered uniform guards and the Eastern Depot, secret agencies of the Ming Dynasty. They acted as assassins and detectives, or even high-ranking officials. There were also the seal-holding eunuchs. The emperor wrote documents, and they would help stamp the seal. A specific eunuch was tasked with it. He stamped whatever the emperor ordered. With the seal, it becomes an imperial edict. The eunuchs played many important roles. This was a unique feature of the Ming government. The guards and the Eastern Depot were royal secret agencies established during the Ming Dynasty. They are depicted in movies a lot. They were known for their cruelty. Few people captured by the guards ever left the prison alive. Alright, so this eunuch group was like this. Wang Zhen was both smart and quick-witted, and also a scholar. He quickly stood out from the crowd and became very noticeable. He also knew that the emperor and his harem needed loyal servants. He displayed loyalty, intelligence, and efficiency. He was quick to react and very capable. He quickly found a job for his abilities. He accompanied the emperor's successor, helping him study and play. They even slept together. This was the position he had always desired. Think about it. This was the crown prince, the future emperor. If I take care of the prince from a young age and nurture him well, then when he's emperor, I will definitely hold great power and control everything. And, indeed, it happened. After the emperor passed away, the young prince Yu Qian took over and became the emperor. He trusted this eunuch Wang Zhen very much. Therefore, I say, it is very important for a person to develop good habits. This young emperor always had this eunuch Wang Zhen by his side. If something happened and he was in trouble, Wang Zhen would say, "Don't worry, I'll handle it. My father will punish me. Don't worry, I'll handle it. I wanted to sneak out for some fun. I'll handle it." Wang Zhen arranged everything for him. In the end, he had absolute trust in Wang Zhen. Absolute trust is fine, but absolute dependence is troublesome. It became a habit. Childhood trust turned into dependence. When he grew up and became emperor, he still depended on Wang Zhen. That became a bit of a problem. This is how Emperor Yingzong came to leading that campaign. We can imagine an emperor in his early 20s. It was several generations after the establishment of the Ming Dynasty. How would he have any fighting experience? If you so much as scolded him, you might lose your head. He'd never even been in a fight, let alone led troops on horseback into battle. I think he fell into Wang Zhen's trap. This child probably thought, "My ancestors fought on horseback and defeated many enemies. That's how the country was founded. That's how we became emperors. Look at how glorious that is. Many boys have a dream of becoming a general. I can defeat the enemy. To become someone who can fight and defeat the enemy, even winning with fewer troops. I also have wisdom and tactics. On horseback, I can kill enemies. Off horseback, I can govern the country. I'll be a wise ruler of this generation. A dream of being a wise ruler. In this situation, this dream also existed. The Mongol army, the Oirats, was provoking them. In the end, they really went ahead and organized a 200,000-strong Ming army, hoping to sweep away the Mongol army. Watch how I deal with you. The story takes us to July 1449. The Mongol Oirat army, under the leadership of Yizhen, marched south, pillaging and plundering. Upon reaching the Ming Dynasty's territory, they looted everything. The people were in deep distress. Urgent messages arrived on fast horses, prompting the emperor to ask, how do we defeat them? Under the influence of the eunuch Wang Zhen, the young emperor was persuaded to lead the troops into battle himself. This idea was outrageous. It scared both the minister and deputy minister of defense. Yu Qian was the deputy minister. The minister of defense was named Kuang Yi. Many officials were terrified. Beijing was close to the borders, close to the Mongols. How can we allow the emperor to personally go to war? Absolutely not. You are the leader and core of the entire Ming Dynasty. If you go and something happens, it would be disastrous. Would our country still exist? Yu Qian and a group of loyal ministers strongly opposed it. But at this time, young Emperor Yingzong, under the instigation of his most trusted eunuch, Wang Zhen, insisted on leading the troops. No one could stop him. The situation had reached a boiling point. They couldn't stop him, so they sent people along to help. That was the only way. Yu Qian, you oppose this the most. Stay behind and hold down the fort. Each department left some people behind. Some went, some stayed, and Yu Qian was one of those left behind. As the troops set out, the emperor was the commander. But in reality, it was the eunuch Wang Zhen who made all the decisions. He arranged and decided everything, big and small. The emperor was there, but he was just a puppet, a mere figurehead. Perhaps this war shouldn't have been fought. After they left Beijing, the rain just kept pouring down. Today, in modern times, if it doesn't rain too hard, cars can run conveniently. In many dry areas, once it rains, car accidents happen. In ancient times, the roads were dirt roads. They couldn't even afford to pave with bricks. They needed to travel thousands of kilometers. After continuous rain, imagine what those roads were like. Nowadays, you'd wear rain boots. With every step, your foot could sink 20 to 30 centimeters into the ground. These soldiers wore heavy armor and carried a lot of food and weapons, such as knives and long spears. At that time, they even carried small cannons. The load they carried was very heavy. Walking such muddy roads, they couldn't even march, let alone fight. They died just from exhaustion. Moreover, the supply of provisions couldn't keep up. Often, when it was time to eat, there was no food. The supplies hadn't come yet. Everyone often went hungry. For people, there was no food. For horses, there was no hay. They were greatly unprepared for such a campaign. And it seemed inauspicious from the start. It kept raining heavily. The command was chaotic and disorganized. Fast forward to the first day of the 8th lunar month. The emperor led the Ming army with great difficulty through the mud and arrived in the present-day Datong area of Shaanxi. Wang Zhen got some information on the Mongols. Small units previously encountered the enemy and were defeated. He realized the enemy was so strong. It seemed we were no match for them, knowing they were no match for the Mongols. He was very scared and terrified. He hurriedly ordered, "Let's retreat. The enemy is too strong. Let's retreat first." They made arrangements for the retreat. Their retreat route was to follow the original path back. It was the safest and fastest way. But Wang Zhen had plans. They took a slight detour to his hometown, the Yu County of Shaanxi province. He wanted to show off, as he was leading 200,000 troops. Few in history have experienced such an honor. All the ministers opposed his plan, but Wang Zhen held all the power. He had even managed to sway the young emperor. After being convinced, the emperor said, "We'll do as you say." They had to follow the route he set. As they were nearing Yu County, near Wang Zhen's hometown, out of the blue, he said, "We have so many troops. Let's not trample the crops of my hometown." He ordered the troops to turn back and return to Datong, and retrace their original route of retreat. On August 13th, the Ming army finally reached Tumu Fortress. 2 hours beyond Tumu Fortress, they would reach a city called Huailai. When they neared Tumu Fortress, Wang Zhen saw that the supply team had not yet arrived. He randomly issued an order for the army not to enter the city. They were to settle down and wait. They set up camp at Tumu Fortress and did not enter Huailai city. On the 15th, the Oirat army used a very deceitful tactic. They said they wanted to negotiate peace, to stop fighting and to discuss matters peacefully. Wang Zhen believed that and took their words seriously. The Ming soldiers began relaxing. None of them prepared their weapons. As a result, the Mongols saw that the Ming army had let their guard down and showed no resistance. They launched an attack. The Mongols attacked on warhorses, wielding sharp blades, and the Ming army was completely unprepared. Although there were many people, very quickly, they either fled or were killed. In just a few hours, the entire Mongol army had scattered the Ming army. They also killed many Ming soldiers. Emperor Yingzong was captured and became a prisoner. All 200,000 elite soldiers were gone, either dead, wounded, or fled. This event became one of the most famous in Ming history, known as the Tumu Fortress crisis. This place is called the Tumu Fortress, where this event occurred. During the crisis, the Minister of Defense saw that the situation was hopeless. There was no saving the situation. He led a few soldiers and officials and rushed to Wang Zhen. They said, "It's all your fault, you damned eunuch. It was your bad idea. We'll kill you." Everyone drew their swords and turned Wang Zhen into minced meat. Although they killed Wang Zhen, the 200,000-man Ming army was still annihilated. Many important officials were killed on the spot. Their emperor was captured by the Mongol army. This left the Ming government in disarray. In the 80 years since its founding, there had never been such a severe crisis. It happened at this moment. Many poor decisions led to this military failure. First of all, returning to the capital via the original route would have been fine. In terms of time, the enemy couldn't have caught up. At least they could have escaped back. But Wang Zhen came up with a terrible idea, seeking glory. He took the emperor and the army on a detour to his hometown. Then he found another excuse, so they had to return yet again, delaying another 3 or 4 days. They retraced their steps again and wasted more time. They arrived at Tumu Fortress, just 2 hours away from Huailai City. Entering a city would have offered better protection with its walls. Wang Zhen didn't know military strategy. He insisted on setting up camp at Tumu Fortress. Let me remind you, the way you conduct yourself, good or bad, is different from leading an army. In warfare, understanding terrain, momentum, and timing is crucial. A slight change can mean life or death. It's not the same as normal life. At work, if someone gossips about you, you can't just kill them. It's not a life and death problem. But in war, when you lead soldiers to battle, it means killing. It is a matter of life and death. Wang Zhen didn't understand this. He acted willfully, doing whatever he wanted. He would find excuses and take detours. It was all him. He ruined everything. This led to the emperor becoming a captive, and 200,000 soldiers were killed. What a tragedy! At the time, in Beijing, the highest official was still in charge. He was the emperor's brother, named Yu Qian. He gathered the ministers to discuss countermeasures. This is an unprecedented disaster. We need ideas, fast. There was an official, a monitor censor named Su Yozhen. He was a very clever and cunning man. He said, I observe the stars. The world is changing. We should move the capital from Beijing to Nanjing. Beijing is too dangerous. These Mongols are too close. The emperor was captured. We are in great danger. Let's retreat. Hearing this, Yu Qian slammed his hands on the table and stood up. He always spoke loudly. Now, he raised his voice 100-fold. Anyone who suggests moving south should be executed immediately. The country is on the brink of collapse. Our capital is the foundation of the entire nation. In such a critical moment, if you move the capital, it will cause massive panic. Moreover, the Mongols will pursue us. In such chaos and with the enemy chasing us, can our Ming Dynasty still survive? Just like in the Northern Song Dynasty, when 2 emperors were captured, our situation now is quite similar. All their territory was immediately annexed. It became the territory of the Jin Dynasty. Half of the Song Dynasty's territory was lost. It was taken over by the Jin. If we immediately moved the capital, the enemy would pursue us. Our soldiers and civilians would be terrified. They think the enemy is like demons. We'll be in disarray. We'll lose before the fight even starts. The Ming Dynasty would be gone. The nation would cease to exist. So, in times of chaos, we must not flee. The capital must not be relocated. The emperor's brother, Prince Yu Qian, and some ministers asked, What should we do then? Yu Qian replied, You asked me what to do. Here are my thoughts. The first thing to solve is the capture of the current emperor. The nation cannot be without a ruler, just like an army cannot be without a commander. I think we should appoint a regent emperor. Everyone agreed. It made sense. Then the question was, who should be the acting emperor? It should be one of the emperor's brothers. Zhu Qiyu, you will be the acting emperor. Among the Zhu family, you are the most suitable for this role. Your nephew is too young, just a boy. He can't be the emperor, especially in such a time of great disaster. But Zhu Qiyu said he couldn't do it. I'm timid. I'm afraid of strangers. I'm scared of ghosts. How can someone like me be the ruler? I can't. Yu Qian and some important ministers went to find their Empress Dowager. In Chinese culture, filial piety is important. People respect their mothers greatly. This mother, surnamed Sun, is historically known as Empress Dowager Sun. Empress Dowager Sun said, Let me try. I think this is a good solution. I agree with this decision. With the persuasion and support of Empress Dowager Sun, Zhu Qiyu, whom we will call the younger brother emperor, agreed to become the acting emperor. He took the position. New appointments followed the loss of capable officers and colleagues. Yu Qian was appointed as the Minister of Defense. At that time, it was called the Minister of War. He was given full authority to plan all major military operations ahead. It was all entrusted to him. He immediately began his duties. Who knew when the Mongols might attack again? He made swift arrangements. He took several major actions. First, he redeployed some of the Ming troops from other regions. They returned to the capital to protect it. It was estimated that 200,000 troops could be mobilized. How to solve the food issue? With so many people coming, they would need food. There was food. At that time, near Beijing, in Tong County, there were military granaries. These were military provisions. Tong County is about 25 kilometers from Beijing. It takes half a day to walk there. However, the Mongol Oirat army could appear at any time. They were very fast. If we send people now to transport food from there to Beijing, what if they come and steal the food? Yu Qian came up with an idea. We are mobilizing troops from other places. Let the troops pass through Tong County. They are armed and in groups, right? When they reach Tong County, each person can carry 20 to 30 kilograms of food to the capital. Next, we need to gather military equipment. For example, armor, swords, spears, and clubs. In the secondary capital, Nanjing, they stored a lot of these weapons and equipment there. They transported them via the Grand Canal from Nanjing directly to Tianjin. Tens of thousands of these weapons were transported back to Beijing. In the end, they had the people, the food, and the weapons. They also mobilized many of the more advanced weapons of that time. For example, large cannons and hand cannons. Hand cannons are somewhat like short-barreled rifles. Compared to modern rifles, they are very outdated. However, they fired sand and steel balls covering a wide area in one shot. They mobilized a lot of these traditional and advanced weapons. They came to Beijing to arm everyone. Next, they had to clear and deepen the moat and reinforce the towers used for shooting arrows. Each corner of the city walls had a protruding structure with a cover. You can see these structures, called parapets, on the Great Wall. Strengthen the parapets to better combat the enemy. Also, construct sturdy barricades in front of the main gate to withstand enemy arrows or boulders. That barricade could be about 10 meters high, with thick wooden planks. They made over 10,000 of them. They also carried out military organizational reforms, restructuring the 3 major camps into 10 smaller battalions. Why 10? This is where it gets interesting. A city usually has 4 gates, east, west, south, and north. But in the capital where the emperor lived, there were 9 main gates. Why did it have 9 gates? Because it's where the emperor resided. In ancient China, there was a philosophy of numbers. The emperor is the true dragon son of heaven, and was also known as the supreme of 9 and 5. So, in the capital where the emperor lived, there were 9 main gates. Each of the 9 gates was guarded by a separate battalion. The 10th guarded the palace. They also promoted many young, experienced officers. Loyal and brave young leaders. Time was very tight. They hired blacksmiths to forge weapons. What's more surprising is that Yu Qian sent people to collect or buy weapons left behind by their defeated comrades, or those that were picked up by farmers. They gathered tens of thousands of weapons and armor. They gathered all these military supplies, organized them, and redistributed them to the troops. They also established new orders and rules. It was said that all dispatched soldiers and officers, once they left the gates, could not come back. When can they return? Either after the battle ended, or you died fighting. Either you returned as a victor, or you didn't come back at all. Next rule. If a general retreats, any soldier could attack him. They were to be killed without mercy. If a soldier on the front line retreated, the soldiers behind had the order to kill him. If someone disobeyed orders, they would be executed on the spot. Such strict military rules were rarely seen in the past. But I believe he did the right thing. Next, he made strategic arrangements and ensured the defenses of the city walls and gates were in place. Yu Qian said, "We have allocated combat tasks. All assigned generals, take your soldiers, and defend outside the gates you are guarding." Everyone was stunned. At that time, there was a very capable general named Shi Han. When General Shi Han heard this, he was shocked. He said, "Who fights like this? We always defend the city from the inside utilizing the moat and the thick, tall, sturdy city walls. They become our weapons to resist and prevent enemy attacks. If you send all our people outside, it reduces our self-protection and defensive capabilities. So, I think this idea is problematic." Yu Qian said, "We are defending Beijing. This Beijing, where we all live. It is the heart of the entire Ming Dynasty. The emperor was captured, 200,000 elite soldiers gone. Many high-ranking officials were killed. If they break through the city walls, will the Ming Dynasty still exist? So, my decision and deployment is to defend Beijing to the death. We must not let the enemy break in. We're burning all our bridges. It's a fight to the death. And in this fight, we must win. So, if we die outside the city. We will not die inside the city. We must protect it. If we can't protect it, we will surely die. This is our determination. Even though everyone opposed him, the emperor granted Yu Qian military command. Everyone had no choice but to follow this order. Yu Qian assigned the 10 generals to their posts. But the last and most difficult gate to guard was the one directly facing north, called the Shen Gate. He hadn't yet assigned a general to guard it. Finally, he said, the general to guard the Shen Gate is Yu Qian. Everyone was shocked again. Yu Qian, you are a scholar, you study literature. How can you lead the troops? How can you go to the front lines? Yu Qian replied, there's no time to worry about that. Yu Qian's most admired hero since childhood was a person called Wen Tianxiang. Wen Tianxiang was a great scholar from the southern Song dynasty. He also went to the battlefield but was captured by the enemy. They offered him a high position, but he refused. He also refused money, beautiful women, and large houses. I ask only for death. I was born a man of the Song dynasty and will die a ghost of the Song dynasty. I will not serve in your court or take your handouts. That's how Wen Tianxiang died. Yu Qian greatly admired heroes like Wen Tianxiang. That day, scholar Yu Qian donned armor, went to the battlefield, and confronted the enemy. The time is now November 1449. Just over 2 months after the Tumu crisis. The Oirat army arrived at the gates of Beijing, and the fierce battle began. The actual combat lasted 5 days. After 5 days, the Oirat army was defeated by the Ming army, feeling an unprecedented sense of humiliation. And the commander of this war was a scholar. He was Yu Qian. This made the Oirat army look at him in a new light. No matter how much the enemy fought, they couldn't break through. Yu Qian was adept at turning everything into a weapon. This was something many generals couldn't achieve. Everything became his weapon. He exhausted the enemy forces. They couldn't sleep at night. Yu Qian sent soldiers to harass them. During the day, they were too tired to fight. They lost battles because of the many traps he set. This caused significant damage to the Oirat army. Yizhen couldn't hold on any longer. His army was so tormented that they couldn't fight. Unable to battle the Ming army, he decided to retreat. Yu Qian then sent troops to pursue them. They drove the Oirat people beyond the Great Wall. This allowed the Ming army to achieve victory against the odds and turn the tide. They defeated the Oirat army and preserved the Ming Dynasty. This is historically known as the famous defense of Beijing by the Ming Dynasty. The former emperor, Zhu Qixin, was still a captive of the Oirats. These Oirat soldiers once took the former emperor to call out at each city gate or checkpoint. When the gates opened, they would attack. However, the soldiers now followed the new orders. No matter who called, they wouldn't open the gates. Like in the children's rhyme when the wolf came knocking, they wouldn't open, no matter what. If they had listened to this past emperor, the wolves were right behind him. The entire Ming Dynasty would be doomed. After much turmoil, over a year later, the Mongol army felt that they could no longer profit from this emperor. They decided to release him. If they killed him, the Ming people would hate them forever. So, they decided to send him back. He was brought back, but when he neared Beijing, entering the city was actually quite difficult. All the ministers wanted to go, kneel and welcome him 10 miles outside the city. The younger brother emperor was not pleased. He said, "Is he proud of being a captive? Just bring him back with a horse carriage. No need to welcome him." He was still the reigning emperor, so everyone listened. Several had been executed already for opposing. After bringing the elder emperor back to the palace, he was not allowed to see the former ministers. No one was allowed to come see or pay him respect. He was confined to a secluded place called the Southern Palace and kept there. He was not allowed to contact anyone. No one could go see him. There were always people standing guard over the Southern Palace. They only sent him some clothes and food supplies. There was food to eat. He was imprisoned there for over 7 years. I find it hard to understand the younger brother emperor taking over the power from the elder brother, who had barely survived and returned, and then imprisoning him. How could the bond of brotherhood become so shallow under the weight of power? Let me tell you a small story of how shallow it can get. At this time, the old emperor was already within the Southern Palace. The walls of the palace were really tall. The old emperor was fanning himself with a fan. It's so cool under this tree shade. Lying down here is comfortable, unlike the stuffy interior. I must thank this tree. There's a cool breeze when I fan. He was talking to his wife, the former empress. She was attending to him. It was a pitiful scene, but the old emperor looked content. The eunuchs reported daily on everything the older emperor said and did. One eunuch said, "Your elder brother said it's comfortable under the tree shade." The younger brother asked, "Where is the tree shade? Get rid of it." In the end, they cut down that tree. He didn't even want to leave a patch of shade for his brother. What a pity. Some brotherly love. Under the lure of power, there is no sentiment or loyalty. This younger emperor did so many bad things. His good times didn't last long. Before he fell seriously ill, he did one more terrible thing. At the time when the younger brother was made the acting emperor, the elder in their family, Empress Dowager's son, stepped in. "You are the acting emperor. The throne came from your older brother. If one day you fall ill or pass away, it should be your brother's biological child who succeeds the throne." But after this younger brother became emperor, he changed his mind. He removed his brother's child from being the crown prince, and instead made his own child the crown prince. But his own biological child was also disappointing. After being appointed, within a year, he fell ill and died. Strange, isn't it? He died, just like that. 7 years later, this younger brother, Emperor Yu Qian, became seriously ill. At this special moment in time, I mentioned a particularly capable general before, Shi Han, as well as the person who suggested the retreat to Nanjing. That high official was Su Yozhen. He was a scholar with a malicious mind, along with a corrupt eunuch, Chao Jixian. They colluded and formed a new faction. They were cunning. At the sight of the acting emperor's imminent demise, They acted quickly. No one else could be emperor. If someone not named Zhu became emperor, it would be treason. But their old emperor was imprisoned. They wanted to gain fame from this. We can save the old emperor and reinstate him. They discussed and agreed to cooperate. It was all for their own benefit. In the middle of the night, they pried open the door of the southern palace. They killed 2 eunuchs on duty, and after that, they took the old emperor, Emperor Yingzong, with them. They headed straight for the Forbidden City. He didn't go see his brother. He went directly to the Golden Throne Hall, where court meetings were held every morning. 2 hours later, the officials came for the morning assembly. The ministers looked up and saw that the throne had a new occupant. The old emperor said, "I now officially announce that I am reclaiming the throne. I am resuming my position as emperor." Everyone knew he was emperor before. Many loyal subjects, though surprised, had been hoping for his return. They quickly shouted, "Long live the emperor!" He resumed his reign. About a week later, the younger brother emperor died. This event is known as the Seizing the Gate incident. Emperor Yingzong, the elder brother, regained the throne. For Yu Qian, his good days were over. He was executed for treason. After the Tumu Fortress crisis, Su Yozhen incited the court to move south and abandon Beijing. Yu Qian vehemently opposed and stopped him, causing Su to lose faith. Thus, Su began to hate Yu Qian. However, the younger brother emperor recognized and trusted Yu Qian's contributions and loyalty. So, Su Yozhen couldn't do anything to Yu Qian, but Su Yozhen was a treacherous official. After they helped the elder brother emperor reclaim the throne, taking advantage of his confusion, just a few days after his ascension, he suggested killing Yu Qian. He said, "If you don't kill Yu Qian, your restoration will lack legitimacy." In reality, killing Yu Qian had no relevance to the emperor's restoration. He said that picking an acting emperor was all Yu Qian's bad idea. Was it a bad idea? On the contrary, it saved the Ming Dynasty. He took advantage of the emperor's unclear state of mind to say these absurd things. The elder brother, Emperor Yingzong, in a moment of confusion, agreed to the execution to kill Yu Qian. On the day Yu Qian was executed, the execution ground was surrounded by a massive crowd. The common people gathered in huge numbers. They cried, "Such a good man, such a loyal person, such a noble individual was about to be executed." The people shed countless tears and knelt down to plead numerous times. But the emperor remained unmoved. The executioner who beheaded Yu Qian took the same knife and committed suicide on the spot. He killed himself. He felt guilty for killing such a loyal minister. He couldn't face the world after such an act. So, he committed suicide. It is said that some of his family members and people who worked with him also chose to commit suicide on the spot because of this. On that day and the following days, it rained heavily. After Yu Qian was killed, the court sent people to confiscate his property. He was falsely accused of having immense wealth. But when they went there, they found out that he had always lived on his own in a very ordinary-looking home. When he was a high-ranking official, the emperor, recognizing his loyalty and hard work, had given him a very luxurious mansion. Yu Qian didn't want it but couldn't return it. That would be defying orders, which was not allowed. He found a few guards to maintain the mansion. He kept the mansion in good condition. In the main hall of this mansion, he displayed all the treasures and rewards that the previous emperor had bestowed. Not a single cent was moved, spent, or sold. This mansion, he never lived in it for a day. When they searched his actual residence, they didn't find a single penny. He was an extremely honest man. He never engaged in any financial dealings with others. He never accepted any gifts. When he celebrated his birthday, like his 50th birthday or something, many people gave him gifts. He declined them all. What did he advocate? An honest friendship is plain like water. When he was young, he had just started his official career. He was recommended to the emperor by an official. This official was like a mentor to him. When he went to visit this mentor, he didn't bring any gifts. But this official was very powerful. Everyone else brought many valuable gifts. So, the mentor's steward asked, "What gifts did you bring today?" "I brought nothing but clean sleeves." Yes, so he neither gave gifts nor accepted gifts from others. This was very rare. He did not accept any bribes. He always maintained a life of simplicity and integrity. The life of a truly noble person. In the battle known as the defense of Beijing, Yu Qian used his life and wisdom to defend the Ming Dynasty, making significant contributions. His contributions were immense and irreplaceable. Someone also recommended Yu Qian's son, Yu Qian, who had made significant efforts too. They said many officials were rewarded. Yu Qian's son had also made contributions. He should also be rewarded. Yu Qian immediately stopped it, saying, "No. Defending the country is a duty of a subject. It's a natural thing. We do not need any reward." His integrity and purity, his untainted character, and his upright way of doing things were passed down through his family lineage. It became a tradition for generations. His descendants took great pride in this. As a result, they named their family hall Qingfeng Hall, meaning pure breeze hall. It signifies untainted character. He was truly outstanding and noble. Someone asked me about Wang Zhen, the eunuch. Wang Zhen and Yu Qian were both scholars, but their fates were so different. I think about it this way. It's about that longing in the heart. That is his ultimate goal. The difference in that is key. Take Wang Zhen, for example. He worked solely for himself. I want power, I want wealth. Just for himself, right? To achieve this power for himself, and quickly reach the peak of power, he would do something that many men find unspeakable: self-castration. Turning a normal man into a eunuch, just to enter the palace, get close to the emperor, and gain privileges. In pursuit of fame and fortune, he is even willing to risk his life. Yu Qian was also someone who would risk his life for his actions. But what was he risking his life for? Not for himself, but for the country. He benefited the nation and its people. The difference is that one acted only for personal desires, while the other for the betterment of the country. One was for the public, the other for private gain, completely opposite, with Wang Zhen leading the emperor. Before the disaster at Tumu Fortress happened, all the wrong actions that he took were all for his own honor and rights. Or, out of jealousy, reckless orders were given. As a result, time was wasted. The 200,000 soldiers were annihilated and the emperor was captured. It was all because of Wang Zhen. Driven by his selfish desires, he caused the disastrous defeat. The biggest villain of the Tumu Fortress crisis was Wang Zhen. It was also after this crisis, when the country was on the brink of collapse. Who was the person that allowed the Ming Dynasty to last another 200 years? Wasn't it Yu Qian? Their inner pursuits were completely opposite. Yu Qian aspired to be a noble and pure person, to contribute to the country and the people, leaving behind many beautiful memories. When he was in his teens, he walked to a lime kiln. He saw the process from excavation to processing limestone in the kiln and then turning it into white lime. He was inspired and moved. At that moment, he spontaneously recited a poem. The poem goes like this. From the mountains, hacked and hammered 1,000 times, burned by fierce fire as if it were nothing, crushed bones and shattered body, the soul does not fear. It only wishes to leave purity in the world. Limestone is somewhat gray, not white. It's a natural stone. But after being burned at high temperatures, it turns into a white stone. This white stone, if it gets wet, turns into lime powder. Lime powder can be used in construction, medicine, and various other fields. This gray stone turns into a pure white powder. He described this kind of process. The last line says, "Leave purity in the world." I think this poem was a kind of inspiration for Yu Qian. It truly reflects Yu Qian's life. Purity. Personally, to summarize Yu Qian, I dare not make rash comments. My evaluation of him can be summed up in 4 words. The first word is loyalty. Loyalty is easy to understand. It simply means being loyal and devoted, loyal to the Ming Dynasty. The second is integrity, the integrity of being an official. Integrity in public service. First, it means not accepting bribes, no corruption, no embezzlement. This is integrity. In Chinese paintings and porcelain, you'll often see lotus flowers. It's symbolic of living a life of purity and honesty. I am cultivated. I am not greedy. It signifies my noble pursuits. Integrity and dedication to public service. The moment we are born, we bring nothing with us, no possessions or wealth. And when we leave, we cannot take anything with us either. But what can be left behind? What remains? Wealth cannot speak for us. What remains is actually reputation. It's the impression left on the public. A noble-minded individual aims to leave a lasting impression on future generations. I can withstand anyone evaluating and scrutinizing me. To be such a noble person. The third word is tall or lofty. He had lofty insight. What is that? Let me use a metaphor. Like Yu Qian, who hoped for a regent emperor. Actually, he was looking at the entire Ming Dynasty through time and space. For most people, we try to rescue the captured emperor. But if we couldn't rescue him, who would issue the orders? No one would, right? So, simply appoint a regent emperor. He viewed this matter from a broader perspective. He aimed to ensure the continuation of the Ming Dynasty, rather than seeking temporary revenge. Therefore, our high regard for Yu Qian is due to his vision. He saw things from a high, wide, broad, and grand perspective. Before the Tumu Fortress battle, he advised the emperor not to lead the troops. This was a simple yet profound issue. Because you are not a general. If a general dies, we can find another to replace him. But if an emperor dies, the entire nation falls into chaos. This would cause widespread turmoil. So, his vision was far-reaching. He understood that the emperor does not take risks. As the most important representative of the country, he cannot engage in dangerous activities. The fourth word to describe him is propriety. He understood the principles of being a good person. That's why he wasn't corrupt. I am an official. If I were corrupt, it would disrupt the country's order, and it would betray the trust the emperor has in me. I am spending the emperor's money. Our family's meals are paid for with the emperor's salary. He is my provider. I cannot deceive him. I must not abuse my power. If I accept bribes and extort the people, I am failing my emperor. He understood this principle the best. Every citizen is responsible for the rise and fall of the nation. When the country is in trouble, I must step forward. When the nation prospers, I'll step back. When everyone is capable and there are no crises, we should not seek credit. Do not be arrogant and overbearing. Be a bit more silent. But when chaos comes and everyone is afraid, we must bravely stand up to defend the nation. This was his understanding of propriety, and his actions were the results. From military to political matters. His macro-level analysis and arrangements were all based on this grand principle. In a state of extreme loyalty, he came up with a series of good ideas, very wise ideas, and insightful perspectives. Moreover, the hierarchy was clear. The decisions he made were highly efficient. When etiquette is simple, the law is clear. When the law is clear, it is effective. So, I think he was a person who understood great etiquette, ethics, and the way of heaven. He knew the proper measure and had the right grasp. Thus, he bowed without arrogance, loyal, honest, and upright throughout his life. And in times of national crisis, he dared to step forward, saving the country from peril. His understanding of principles reached the highest realm pursued by all scholars. Which is to bring peace and order to the nation and the world. Yet he remained humble, despite his achievements. He was a perfect person. He will be a model admired by future generations forever. From another perspective, his mission was to save the Ming Dynasty in a time of crisis. Once he completed his mission, his fate was fulfilled. The new emperor could then govern normally, and he could retreat from the limelight without care. This was his great life. Let us remember his name. His name was Yu Qian.
The great merciful and compassionate Guanyin Bodhisattva seeks out all who are suffering. 1,000 hands protect all sentient beings. 1,000 eyes observe the world. Offering to the 1,000-armed Guanyin Bodhisattva is the most fundamental way to resolve clashes and disasters in the Year of the Dragon and among the 2024 Tai Sui zodiac signs. May Bodhisattva bless you with auspicious protection, safe travels, health, longevity, wealth, and illumination.
小小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧了，我宽容了，我慈悲了，我自在了。